Title: Exploring Size and Fit with Ramps and Balls, 18 to 36 months. The Count, Play, Explore logo appears in the lower right with the words Count, Play, Explore for early education. An educator sits on the ground inside of a classroom. On the ground in front of the educator is a large white tube. Multiple wooden ramps are connected to create a long ramp running through the tube. At the far left end of the ramp, a second smaller tube sits on the ramp. The end of the smaller tube is positioned against a small basket that is propped up on its side. A child kneels on the ground across from the educator. The wooden ramps extending from the right side of the tube are positioned between them.
Oh no! What do we need to do?
The child lifts the end of the ramp at the far right of the large tube.
Can we make it higher?
The educator holds out a hand, palm faced up on the ground underneath the lifted end of the ramp, and raises it up toward the ramp. Two wooden blocks are stacked on the far right. The educator picks one up and places it on the ground underneath the ramp.
What happens if we just use one? Nothing?
Make it higher.
We need to make it higher.
The child raises their right arm.
What happens when we make it higher?
The educator stacks the second block on top of the one that is already positioned under the ramp. The child places the end of the ramp on top of the blocks.
It makes the ball go faster.
The educator points from the raised end of the ramp toward the tube.
What'd you do with your ball?
Right
Was
here.
it hiding? Let's see.
The child picks up a ball from the ground in front of them. The child places the ball on the raised end of the ramp and releases it. The ball rolls down the ramp, through the large white tube, out the other end, and into the second smaller tube.
It did it! High five.
The educator holds up their hand, and the child raises up their hand and gives the educator a high five.
That was awesome. Yeah, I'll get it. I think Uriah took our other ball.
The educator crawls to the smaller tube and tilts it so the ball rolls out into their hand. The educator places the tube back down.
No more monkeys drinking on the bed.
Let's see if it works.
The educator gives the ball back to the child, who places it on the raised end of the ramp and lets it roll down and through the tubes again.
Do you think the big ball will work?
The educator picks up a larger ball from the ground. The child takes the ball from the educator's hand, places it on the raised end of the ramp, and releases it. The ball rolls down the ramp through the large tube and then stops at the entrance of the smaller tube.
What happened?
No, it can't fit.
Why can't it fit into the hole?
The educator points to the opening of the small tube.
Because it can't go in. Because look it.
The child places the ball on the raised end of the ramp and lets it go. The ball stops when it reaches the opening of the small tube.
Because it's too big.
Yeah,
It's too
got
big.
The educator reaches over and picks up the ball in the smaller tube. The educator sets the smaller tube aside.
Let's see. What happens if we use a bigger one? Look, can you get the ring right there?
The educator points in front of them, and the child walks over to pick up a larger wooden ring.
Oopsie.
I wonder if we put that at the end, if the big one will fit. What do you think?
The child puts the ring where the small tube had been, propped up against the upright basket.
Let's find out. Get the big ball.
The big ball.
The child picks up the big ball from the ground and walks to the raised end of the ramp.
Let's see if it'll fit.
The child places the ball on the raised end of the ramp and releases it. The ball rolls down the ramp, through the tube, along the rest of the ramps, and into the ring.
It fit!
The child walks over to retrieve the ball.
We needed a bigger hole so the big ball would fit.
In another scene, the ring is upright in front of the smaller tube that is positioned against the upright basket. A different child places the larger ball on the raised end of the ramp and releases it.
Go ahead. See what happens.
The ball rolls through the larger tube, along the ramp, through the ring, and stops at the entrance to the smaller tube.
And it has to stop there because it's too big. All right, Alec, go ahead. Try with the small one. See if the small one will go through the big hole.
The other child, Alec, places the small ball on the raised end of the ramp and releases it.
It did! It did.
Credits. A special thanks to the children, families, and staff of the Office of the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools Lighthouse for Children Child Development Center, without whose help these videos would not have been possible. The Count, Play, Explore logo appears in the lower right corner with the words Count, Play, Explore for early education.